Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other places people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple: Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcast. I chose to use Anchor to do podcasts, to share my life experiences, and to share my spiritual journey. So if you always wanted to start a podcast making money doing it, go to Anchor FM/start. That's ANCHOR.FM/START to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. The Anchor FM Start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. Hey, coming to you from Miami. Goddess idea. Oh, my daughter's planning a girls trip. I have two daughters, ages 34 and 16. And the oldest daughter has timeshare. So she decided to plan this week-long vacation for me and her sister out here in Miami, Florida. And it's just one of the best things ever. We just got to bond and talk and have so much fun. But the one thing came up is relationships. Not my 16-year-old. She ain't ready for no boyfriend. I'm glad that her focus is school and trying to work. I'm just happy that her self-esteem is healthy and her self-confidence is there. That when a boy tries to talk to her, she doesn't get excited and beside herself and all giggly like some of us, did when we were young, or even some of the teenagers I see today that having sex at the age of 16 and having babies at the age of 16. So I'm grateful. So whatever I did, I did right, because I'm very, very proud of her. But anyway, I always want to say, so much pressure is being put on women who hasn't yet gotten married or had any children. They in their 30s, they feel pressure by society, about people always asking, you ain't married yet, you ain't got no kids. I wish they would really stop it. Like, there is so much more to life than a woman getting married and having kids. We've been, this been taught to us, ever since our early years when we in preschool, giving us a doll and telling us we playing house. There's so much more to life than getting married and having kids. And women are feeling like something is wrong with them because it hasn't happened to them yet. And I'm going to speak on myself. I was married twice. First marriage ended in domestic violence, and the second marriage ended in cheating. The second marriage was something that should never take place. But when you don't love yourself and you have those self-esteem issues and lack self-confidence, you tend to make bad choices in men. And also when you never had a dad in your life, because my mom and my dad was married and they divorced. I think when I was about 6, and he wasn't a part of my life. Like, once he left my mom, he didn't help take care of us. He wasn't there. He didn't get visitations. He just ghosted us. So then my mom had several boyfriends who came in her life, but none of them was really a stepfather to me, my sister, and my brother. So of course I grew up with these daddy issues, and I latched on to the first man that gave me attention, the first man that put money in my pocket, which was a guy who was the same age as me. I got him by a few months, because I don't want to say like I was dating some older man. No, he was the same age as me, and this is when I was like 17. I ended up marrying him, and we had three children together, and I had one child with my second husband. And when I sit here and think about it, I didn't have nothing to guide me or that taught me, what I deserve with, in a relationship. And then I had trauma, which I learned later on in life when I started to work on me and learning who I really am and what I like and what I dislike and what I want and what I don't want. I've learned that, I didn't have positive role models in my life. My mom never, maybe she didn't think that we needed that because she didn't have that. And we end up, I end up choosing men to marry, but they were learning experiences. I'm not going to say they weren't, and it gave me 4 beautiful kids. But I don't want my daughters making the same mistakes I had. They both grew up with either parent, not by choice, because the marriages fell, and both fathers ended up in jail. The first husband he's the father of my first 3 kids, ended up in jail because of the crime he committed against me. And the second husband ended up in jail because of the crime he committed against somebody else. So I ended up raising those 4 kids by myself. And I did an okay job because I did what I knew. I raised them with what the knowledge I had at that time. But although my second daughter was raised a little bit different, because I had learned more, and I learned to do differently. Like, her self-esteem is high, her confidence is high, because I started instilling that in her when she was 3. But for my oldest daughter, I didn't know I needed to do those things because they weren't done to me. Like I said, I learned late in life. So things that my oldest daughter did when she was my youngest daughter age, she was having sex at 15. But my daughter's now 16, and so far, she ain't ready for none of all of that. And I guess, she hear me and her sister talking, and it's also, teaching her some things. You gotta love yourself, you gotta respect yourself, and you don't need the attention of a man. And then besides, she has her 2 brothers who basically played the role of the positive role model in her life, and also showed her how men are supposed to treat women. So she has a good head on her shoulder. But I just want to get back to women have to stop thinking that something's wrong with them because they haven't found a man that is willing to marry them and have babies with. And they need to stop looking at other married couples, because just because someone married, you do not know what goes on behind closed doors. And in my personal opinion, I see a lot of these women that are married that don't even respect their husbands. I see a lot of women that are married where they are the leaders in the household and the man is the follower. And that's not how it's supposed to be. So I tell my daughters, your time will come, but don't let that be. You have a lot to offer a man, but you also need to heal. You need to heal. And when you heal and you boost your self-esteem up and your self-confidence, and you get off that energy, you will attract someone that's worthy of your time, that's going to come into your life and treat you the way you're supposed to be treated, with respect. Now, I'm not saying there's not going to be no problems, because, when you got 2 people coming together, there's going to be some conflict. But you have to be able to know how to deal with that conflict in a healthy state, and not allow triggers to trigger your past experience. And I encourage women to just work on themselves. Get to know who you are, because sometimes we don't know who we are. We too busy living our life based off society, based off what everybody else say we should do it. And sometimes, like for me, I never talked about marriage or even having kids. I wanted to have 1 child, and that was by the first husband. I ended up with 4, and I ended up married twice, and those things never crossed my mind when I was coming up. But I learned that I don't want to get married again, because I don't want to live with a man. Not that I have anything against them, but I require peace. I require a lot of alone time. And if I feel that way and that's what I want, why should I live with a man when I know that I turn over and he's in my bed and I'm going to wonder why he's there? When in fact I know that I don't want him there. And yes, I am in a relationship. I'm in a relationship for the last 3 years. I've known him 4. He's a great guy. Treat me with the utmost respect. We on the same page. Neither one of us wants to live with each other. We see each other multiple times a week, but we are able to go back to our space, because he requires his space too. So you really have to live your life for you and not what other people say you should be doing, because sometimes you may want a relationship, but you may not need to be in a relationship because you need to heal. You may want to get married because everybody else is married, or society say you be married, but you may get married and realize marriage is not for you. So you have to work on you, and you have to know what you want. You have to create your reality, not letting other people create the reality for you. Because not everybody in a relationship should be in a relationship. Not everybody that's married should actually be married. People are getting married for all types of reasons. Should I name them? Citizenship, because the woman got pregnant. Because they believe what the Bible says you should marry. Because he got money, she got money. People looking for a come up. Are people really married because they love and respect the person, they want to be with the person? No, people looking for stuff when they get married. Oh, he got a lot of money, so if he die, I can get A, B, and C. So people not always marrying for love. So women really need to stop focusing on that marriage, because society has say that we should be married and we should have kids. We in a whole different century from our ancestors. It's different. There's a lot of things we don't have to accept in life. There's a lot of things we don't have to put up because we have more opportunities. But first and foremost, you need to start loving yourself. And yes, it feels good, because I'm going to say it feels good when another person loves you. Damn right it feels good. But if it's toxic, I don't want it. Love you, work on yourself, heal, and make sure marriage is something you want, because when you cohabitate with another person, there's things about that person that you're not going to like, but now you're married to them, you're going to have to accept them and learn how to deal with it. So be careful with what you say and what you want in life when it comes to being in relationships. Goddess Hadia.